What's happening, everybody? Ryan Thomas here, live on the Thomas Take Sports Podcast for another Keys to Victory episode for the Buffalo Bills. Upcoming matchup today as the Bills take on the Seattle Seahawks. Very pumped up for this one. This is going to be a great game, in my opinion. I'm going to dive into it. But what are the three Buffalo Bills keys to victory for this game against the Seattle Seahawks? First and foremost, I want to remind you guys that the Thomas Take Sports Podcast is available on all major podcasting platforms, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, this show as well, Facebook, YouTube. Subscribe and like on YouTube and Facebook. Subscribe to the channel on YouTube. Like the Thomas Take on Facebook. You get instant access to any time I am live on the show. And whether I'm talking Buffalo Bills stuff, whether I'm talking mixed martial arts or boxing, NHL, MLB, you'll get instant access anytime I'm live by clicking the notification bell on YouTube or liking the Facebook page. So thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. Big show today. I am excited to dive into what I believe are the keys to victory for this Buffalo Bills team. But first, before diving into the keys to victory, I want to acknowledge the task at hand that is the Seattle Seahawks. This is an extremely tough matchup for the Buffalo Bills. Painfully obvious what makes this matchup so tough. Russell Wilson, and Russell Wilson, as well as the next up-and-coming, I guess you could say, wide receiver one of the National Football League, DK Metcalf. Tyler Lockett is a matchup nightmare. His speed that he has on the field, Metcalf with his speed, with his size. There are a lot of things about this matchup that could pose real problems to the Buffalo Bills. But I think the Bills have a shot to win this game. I think the Bills have an opportunity, actually, to show the world what they're made of. Show the world that they are not the team that played the Tennessee Titans a few weeks back. They are not the team that played the Kansas City Chiefs a few weeks back. And they are not the team that allowed the Rams to come back into that game and essentially, make it a close one. That's not who they are. And I'm excited to say that we have the perfect measuring stick of an opponent for the Buffalo Bills to challenge themselves against in the Seattle Seahawks. This is an opportunity for us to really rise above the somewhat ineptitude that we've seen these last few weeks and get back to who we really are, what our actual identity is as a team. So key to victory number one for me is that Josh Allen has to get back to the basics. The Josh Allen that we saw the first 4 weeks, 12 touchdowns, 1 interception, a high completion percentage, 331 yards passing on average per game, that has come back down to earth. 4 touchdowns, 4 interceptions in the last 4 games, 211 yards passing per game, and a completion percentage that has taken a massive dip. We need to see Josh Allen throw for first downs, not touchdowns. We need to see Josh Allen utilize the playmakers that he has on this offense, utilize the guys that have made him look very good. And that's the name of the game for any great quarterback, to utilize the guys around him to make those stats look better, utilize those guys around him to really get the yards after catch, really up that yards per pass attempt, and kind of whittle it down just a little bit in terms of dinking and dunking. I think that was why Josh Allen was so successful throughout the first 4 weeks of the season. Allen was able to move the chains methodically, slowly, getting the ball to the guy that comes to my mind as far as the best receiver on this Bills team in that regard is Cole Beasley. The ability for Cole Beasley to get separation on a slant, the ability for Cole Beasley to run the shortest routes and to get the biggest amount of separation that he possibly can on a short route. I think Josh Allen needs to continue feeding Cole Beasley the football. John Brown being fully healthy, hopefully, for this one. I haven't looked at the injury report just yet. I'm hoping that he is active. If John Brown is active, then we have a real good shot at getting done what I feel we need to do. We need to get that done. We need to get it done in terms of getting Brown the ball, getting Beasley the ball, getting Diggs the ball. We need to mix it up. Josh Allen needs to mix it up and get back to basics in doing so. If Josh Allen can do that, then I think we got a real good opportunity to win this game. That is, to me, the point of emphasis for the Buffalo Bills in this one. That is, to me, what has dropped off in this game from Josh Allen. That is why the stats have taken this unfortunate dip that they have in terms of getting the ball to his playmakers, getting the ball to the John Browns, the Cole Beasleys, you name it. And I think that this team in particular is a team that really has to find their way, has to find their identity. And in finding their identity, this is, I mentioned it before, but it is the perfect measuring stick opponent. The Kansas City Chiefs were that. The Kansas City Chiefs are a team that obviously the defending Super Bowl champs. The Tennessee Titans obviously are a solid team in the AFC right now. But playing the Seattle Seahawks, this is like 3 strikes and you're out in terms of, if we play the Seattle Seahawks the same way we played the Tennessee Titans, if we played the Seattle Seahawks the same way we played the Kansas City Chiefs, we will not like the results. We will not feel good as Bills fans. I know a lot of Bills fans. I talk to them every single day. I know what the temperature of the room, so to speak, is within Bills Mafia. We're better than this. We're 6-2. I'm not crying over that. I'm happy that we're 6-2. But I believe that the Buffalo Bills are a far better version of themselves than what they have shown, especially on the defensive side of the ball. That is really where we need to make some headway in this game. And it is a great, great opportunity to do so. Opportunity breeds success. Competition breeds success. And when you can rise to the occasion of an opportunity, I think that's when you really start to see the best of what you're made of. So key number 1 for me, as I said, Josh Allen has to get back to basics. Moving the ball methodically, throwing for first downs, not touchdowns. Josh Allen sometimes falls victim to playing that hero ball, having that hero ball type mindset. It's what I love about Josh Allen, but sometimes I think he falls into that a little bit too much. And I don't think it's a coincidence as well that the last 4 weeks since the Raiders game in Vegas, Josh Allen injured his shoulder, I don't think Josh Allen's fully healthy. I really don't. And I think that has played a major factor into the dip in production statistically that we have seen from Allen these last 4 weeks in comparison to the first 4 weeks. As well, Allen somewhat overcompensating. Sometimes guys, when they are hurt, they overcompensate. They try to do too much knowing that they are compensated. It's just a mental thing that, oh man, I'm hurt, but I'm playing, and I really want to show my teammates what I'm made of. So number 2, force Russell Wilson to make his first read. And this is tricky because people are going to say, why would you want to force Russell Wilson to make any read? We should try to pressure Russell Wilson. We should try to get to him. That is such a tough thing to do in this league, is to get to Russell Wilson and to pressure him. If you pressure Russell Wilson, I almost see that as an advantage at this point to Russell Wilson. He is so damn good at extending a play, so damn good at finding his 4th, 5th option out on that field, that if you force Russell Wilson to make his first read, chances are you are doing a pretty damn good job of pressuring him in general. Force Russell Wilson to make his first read, that means you are pressuring him adequately. That means you are pressuring him at a rate that is a high rate. Buffalo Bills, in terms of bringing the pressure, are 4th in the National Football League in terms of percentage plays where they are bringing the pressure. That has to get dialed up exponentially for this matchup against the Seattle Seahawks. Russell Wilson will pick you apart if you don't pressure him. Any quarterback will pick you apart if you don't pressure him, but in particular, Russell Wilson, moving outside the pocket, getting the ball out of his hand, he always finds the guy out there. He always finds, whether it's the tight end, whether it's the receiver. Now you have a skill set at the wide receiver position for the Seattle Seahawks in DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. They're extremely tough to cover. You know, previously when the Seattle Seahawks were successful, Russell Wilson was a big part of that, but Russell Wilson didn't have the weapons then that he has now. I remember at one point they brought in Jimmy Graham, brought in Sidney Rice. Percy Harvin was a weapon on that team for a little bit. This is the best supporting cast that Russell Wilson has ever had. And forcing Russell Wilson to make that first read, that means we are not only pressuring Russell Wilson, but we are focusing on manning up and playing man-to-man on this offense. I wonder what type of scheme Sean McDermott is going to bring to this game, whether it will be a man-to-man scheme or a zone scheme, with how effective this wide receiver duo has been for the Seattle Seahawks. But one thing I do know for sure, to put it in simple terms, if you don't pressure Russell Wilson, it doesn't matter. If you leave Russell Wilson to extend plays with his legs, to find the open receiver, it won't be good. And in terms of this first key to victory that I mentioned with Allen getting back to basics, if this Bills offense allows more opportunities to give Russell Wilson the ball, God forbid on a turnover, that's safe to say it would give the opposing offense the opportunity to get the ball back. But if you are going 3 and out, if you are struggling on the offensive side of the ball for the Buffalo Bills today and providing Russell Wilson with more opportunities to drive down that field, this game is over before it even starts. I hate to say that, but that's just fact. So force Russell Wilson to make his first read. The third key to victory, I think it's the biggest key to victory for the Buffalo Bills, is establishing the run. And I put an exclamation point on the end of this one because up to date, prior to last week, the Buffalo Bills hadn't established a run game at all. Zero run game whatsoever. With Devin Singletary, Zach Moss largely not healthy throughout the start of this season, but now he's healthy. And we saw a big difference in the run game of the Buffalo Bills last week to the point where Zach Moss had over 80 yards rushing. Devin Singletary had over 80 yards rushing. It was an opportunity for us to see the Buffalo Bills in a positive lens as far as what they could do on both run and pass. It's crazy to say the Buffalo Bills are 6-2 when they've only established the run game one time in one game all season long. Now, I think Singletary is a damn good running back. I think he's a running back that could run for over 1,000 yards in a season. Zach Moss, probably the same. Probably could do the same. So let's really open it up with these guys. I think if Buffalo gets the ball first, let's say, whether they do get the ball first, whether they don't, they should establish the run game. They should attack the Seattle Seahawks defense early on, setting the tone with the run, and then exposing this leaky Seattle Seahawks secondary, who have allowed the most yards through the first 8 weeks of the season in the Super Bowl era. Something that the media hasn't talked about in terms of covering the Seahawks. They haven't talked about how basically, I don't want to be insulting, but the Seattle Seahawks have been a dumpster fire in terms of their secondary. Gone are the days of Earl Thomas. Gone are the days of Richard Sherman. There's not really much back there. Jamal Adams, they went out and they got Jamal Adams. They traded 2 first-round picks to get him because they knew that their secondary was so bad that on the back end of things, that Earl Thomas role for Pete Carroll's defense needed to be filled. And Jamal Adams fills that role and then some. He's been a great addition to the team. Finally, 100%. He'd been playing injured these last few weeks, but I think the Bills have a great opportunity finally playing a team like the Seahawks. The contrast in skill sets with these two teams, the Seahawks have a wide receiver core. Buffalo's defense, secondary-wise, outside of Trey White, someone has to step up today. Someone has to step up today, whether it's Josh Norman's not playing, Cam Lewis, take your pick. Someone has to step up. Someone has to make something happen. And I'm drawing a blank in terms of they've moved their secondary around a lot, and I'm not even sure who will be active today. So I don't want to speculate and state names before I'm on here, and I'm on the show, so I haven't had a chance to check. But I truly believe that this is an opportunity for the Bills to show the whole NFL world who they really are. I don't think we know who the Bills are right now. I think the identity of this team has been somewhat lost these last, few weeks. I know they're 6-2. I'm happy about that. I'm thrilled about that. This team has the inside track to win the AFC East for the first time since 1995. If you're not excited about that, you better check yourself. Dating myself, I'm 28 years old. I was 3 the last time the Bills won the AFC East. So the facts are the facts. Like that is massive for this franchise if they're able to pull that off. But I want to see the Bills make the playoffs and actually make a run at this thing. I don't want to see the Bills make the playoffs and then just go one and done. That to me is not good enough. That to me is not progress. They did that last year. It would be actually, in my opinion, a downgrade to win the division and go to the playoffs and lose your first matchup. That to me is actually a downgrade from last year. They didn't win the division, so I didn't expect them to ride into Houston and, dominate that game the way they did in the first half, only to crumble in the second half. But really looking at the state of the franchise to kind of bookend the show, this is the opponent for the Buffalo Bills right now. This is the perfect measuring stick. I've said it so many times, but it really is. And when I looked at the schedule during the season, during the offseason, when the schedule was announced prior to this COVID crap going on, I looked at the Seahawks and thought, damn, the Bills are 5-3, 6-2. That is a pretty damn good opponent to test yourself against. And the competitor in me, whether it be athletically, business, you name it, likes that challenge. I like that challenge. I'm excited for that challenge. As I said, fire away some comments, people. Josh says, would be nice to see our pass rush come to play, or we're going to need 55 to win. And that goes to my next point, and Josh firing away a comment that Levi, Syrian, and Dane will be out there. Dane Jackson, Syrian Neal, and Levi Wallace. Those 3 guys have to massively step. One of those guys has to shine today. One of those guys has to set themselves apart from the other today. Whether it's Levi versus Dane Jackson, whether it's Syrian Neal, I mean, someone has to step up on that particular unit. If we don't see that, if we don't have that, then this game will be over before it starts. As well as the Buffalo Bills pressuring Russell Wilson, forcing him to make his first read. If you force Russell Wilson to throw the ball early rather than get out of the pocket and extend the play, if you can contain Russell Wilson within the pocket, I think you got a real good shot at beating Russell Wilson. I think that's what we've seen when Russell Wilson has been beat, very seldomly in his career, but that's what we have seen. They've been able to keep him in that pocket, force him to make his first read quickly, and maybe they can force a turnover. That interception, in particular, the interception throws it to Malcolm Butler. It was a slant pass. The objective there is to get the ball out of your hand as quickly as possible. But I feel like that's when Russell Wilson is actually not at his best, when you force him to throw it as quickly as possible. If you force Russell Wilson out of the pocket, you're actually doing more harm than good. That's just how dynamic a quarterback he actually is. That makes sense to you guys, right? I hope so, because that's what I see. If you force Russell Wilson to throw from the pocket, you got a better shot. If you force Russell Wilson outside of the pocket, you might be doing yourself more harm than good. And that is rare to state for a quarterback in the National Football League, that you're better off keeping him in the box than forcing him out of the box and allowing him to make that next big throw. So I look at this game as an opportunity, a massive opportunity. I think that this game is going to be extremely close. If I were to do a prediction on it, the score prediction today, the Seahawks do win this one in a close one, 31-28. And I hate posting a Bills show saying that the Bills are going to lose today. I am actually very, very hopeful and very optimistic that the Bills are going to make this a close game, or that they are going to win this game. And if they can make this game close, if they can put out a respectable effort, a more respectable effort than they sure as hell did against the Tennessee Titans, more of a respectable effort going back to the first half of that game with the Kansas City Chiefs a couple weeks back, where it was 13-10 against the defending world champions, then we really, we can hang our hats on that and move on to next week. But if the Bills show up looking like they did against Tennessee today, I won't be happy. I won't be happy. I'll just put it that way. The post-game show will not be a pleasurable experience for me. And the post-game shows typically are, whether the Bills win or lose, either way. I love doing these shows. I love my show. I love interacting with Bills fans. But when the Bills put out an effort like that, like they did against Tennessee, that was a tough one. That was a tough motivator for me to, how can I motivate myself to do that show knowing that the Bills lost to Tennessee on the national stage 43-16 or whatever it was? It was terrible. I hope I don't have to do a show like that again tonight. I hope that this game is as close as I think it's going to be. And I hope that this is an opportunity that the Bills relish and accept and show that true competitive grit in this game. So, with that being said, I'm Ryan Thomas. We got one more comment here. They need to prove they can win a game like this before you can pick them. I agree. We're 3-15 against playoff teams under McDermott. And that right there is very telling. The Seattle Seahawks, as I mentioned, they are a beatable team. They've lost games. They've lost a game this season. It was in overtime. You got to go toe to toe. You got to be ready for 15 rounds of action against the Seattle Seahawks. Jason Clark says, seems we play tougher teams better than the games we should win. My prediction is 28-10, Bills win big. I hope you're right, Jason. I hope that the Bills can pull this off and win this one big. That would be great. But I don't know. It's a tough matchup. It's simply a tough matchup. As always, when I'm on here, I love to interact with the Bills fans. If anyone else has any comments to sound off on, what game am I really looking forward to today? What player am I really excited about today? I am excited in football, fandom, for football fandom reasons. I'm excited that Christian McCaffrey's back this week. I think that's massive for the Panthers. I think it's massive for the National Football League. I think it's fantastic for fantasy football fanatics like myself out there. I get him back in the league that I'm 7-1. I'm 7-1. And I was without Devontae Adams and Christian McCaffrey winning weeks, thanks to the almighty James Robinson. But we have a real opportunity as Bills fans to enjoy this one. I know I'm going to enjoy it no matter what. I put things in perspective each and every time I'm pissy or, complaining about the Bills. We were this close to losing this team on multiple occasions. We almost lost the Sabres. We have to remember that as Bills fans. Just be thankful that we have a team here. But at the same time, our fans deserve to see a Super Bowl winner one day. One before I die. One. Hopefully more than one before I die. That'd be even better. But I think this is a great opportunity for the Bills to really show up and show out. Whether they win or lose with some dignity. Let's not lose this game the way we lost to the Tennessee Titans. I have a feeling that a lot of Bills fans are feeling the same way. I'm not trying to speak for others, but you guys believe that we're better than that. I believe that we're better than that. I believe that we have the ability to not just win the AFC East, but win a playoff game for the first time in, over 20 years? Let's make that happen. And, the first go around doing this show Thursday, I talked specifically about John Brown, who was just mentioned in the comments section. John Brown is as pivotal a piece to this offense as virtually anyone to Josh Allen. And I think that going back to a couple years back when I was attending the training camp, Josh Allen's rookie season, you have this mental perception of how you envision the offense. And I thought that Josh Allen would be getting the ball to Cole Beasley often. I thought he'd be throwing it maybe to the flat, to one of the running backs, Shady McCoy at the time. It wasn't the case. John Brown was featured heavily, and the chemistry between Brown and Allen early on was evident to me. Last season, we saw, and it wasn't Josh Allen's rookie season. Josh Allen's rookie season, he had the chemistry with Robert Foster, is what I was saying there. And then moving on from Robert Foster to John Brown, who was a very similar player, better player in terms of the intangibles and attributes, measuring up a lot better, being more of a veteran player in the league as well. Allen really soaked that in. And the relationship, the friendship between Brown and Allen is a notorious one. They are notorious for being tight in the locker room and interacting outside of the games. So I'm really hoping that Brown is healthy today. I'm hoping that he makes an impact. If John Brown makes an impact in this game, I think the Buffalo Bills have that much better a shot at being a competitive force in this game and winning this game. So there you have it. I'm Ryan Thomas. That was the Thomas Take Sports Podcast. Ryan Thomas. Follow me on Twitter at Ryan Thomas Take. You can also follow me on Instagram at Ryan Thomas Take as well. I like to post story clips during the games on my Instagram. They go to my Facebook page, the Thomas Take Sports Podcast. You can subscribe to the podcast on YouTube and like it on Facebook. That way you get all access to the show. Take care, everybody. Go Bills. Hoping for the best. I'll see you tonight for the Thomas Take Sports Podcast post-game show. Hopefully, I'll be recapping a Bills win. See you soon, Bills Mafia.